Good morning, students. Again, we are starting off with the same chapter, that is combustion and fossil fuels. So, yesterday we have talked about that is what is combustion and their different types. Further on, we have studied that what are the conditions necessary for combustion. So we have studied that basically three conditions are necessary for combustion. That is what? The presence of the combustible substance. Second one, that is the supporter of the combustion, that is oxygen. And the third one is ignition temperature. After that, we have talked about that how a fire can be extinguished. So today we are going to start out with the next topic, that is flame. Coming to the next topic, that is the flame. Now here we are going to study about that what is a flame. All of you have observed the candle flame. So flame is the region in which the combustion of fossil fuel takes place, producing heat and light. Now in the picture you all are able to see the different colors of the flame. Some is yellow, in the middle one a little bit yellowish and reddish is there, and after that as we move to the last it turns up into blue in color. So it depends upon the three parameters, that is nature of the substance which is burning. The second one is the amount of air, that is oxygen available, and the last one is temperature. On these three parameters, the color of the flame depends. Now coming again to the picture, you are able to see the different color. So we are going to talk about the two color flames, that is the yellow flame and the blue flame. The blue flame is called as the non-luminous flame. Why? Because it emits very little light, and this occurs when the availability of the oxygen is more. That means here complete combustion takes place. Coming to the first one, that is the yellow flame. Yellow flame is termed as a luminous flame. Why? Because it emits light. So here the availability of the oxygen is very less. That means the incomplete combustion takes place. Next topic, that is structure of a candle flame. Depending on the amount of the oxygen, the structure of the candle flame can be divided into four different zones. That is outer zone, also termed as non-luminous zone. The second one is the middle zone, which is also termed as yellow or the luminous zone. The third one, the inner zone or black zone or dark zone. The last zone is the blue zone. One by one we are going to study each zone. The outermost zone is the hottest among all zones and is blue in color, and this is due to complete combustion. So that means here the availability of the oxygen is more. It is the non-luminous part of the flame. Coming to the second zone, the middle zone of the candle flame is moderately hot and is yellow in color, and here incomplete combustion of the fuel takes place. It is the brightest part of the flame, that means it is the luminous zone. Coming to the third one, that is the innermost zone. The innermost zone of the flame is the least hot and is black in color. That is why it is termed as dark zone. This is due to the presence of unburnt wax vapor, and it is the black part of the flame. Now here one word is used, that is wax vapor. When a candle burns, it is not the wax that burns. It is the vaporized wax that burns. Once heated, the wax turns from solid to liquid because it is melting down, and then to a vapor form, that is into the gaseous form, and this is termed as wax vapors. Now the last zone, that is blue zone. It is located at the base of the wick. The burning of the carbon monoxide gives it a blue color. So here the burning of the carbon monoxide takes place, which is produced in the middle zone. The next one, you are going to study how the combustion of the wax candle takes place. Now candles are usually made up of paraffin wax, which is obtained from the petroleum. The candle basically has two parts. One is the paraffin wax, and the thread which is attached to it, it is termed as wick. Now, starting off with it, the wick burns and it stands in the pool of the liquid wax. Is that clear? When we used to light up the candle, what happens? The solid wax turns up into a liquid wax. So there is a small portion of the unburned wick between the flame and the liquid wax. All of you must have observed. That means the liquid wax is trapped in a cup of solid wax. So a liquid or the solid wax never catches fire, and also the flame never travels down to the burnt liquid wax or the solid wax. So it is what? It is only the wax vapors that burns. When we light a candle wick, the heat released from the flame melts the wax in and around the wick. Telling you in another language, the wick absorbs the molten wax, and the heat produced from the flame vaporizes the molten wax in the wick. Now this wax vapors then burns in the flame, and this process continues until the entire candle is extinguished. Now a next topic, that is fuels. Now a combustible substance which produces a large amount of heat and light on burning is called fuel. For example, coal, wood, petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG and CNGs are some commonly used fuels. Now these fuels can be divided into three groups, that is solid fuel, liquid fuels and gaseous fuel. Now solid fuels. These are the fuels that exist in the solid state at room temperature. For example, coal, wood, dung cakes and agricultural waste. Coming to the second one, that is the liquid fuels. These are the fuels that exist in the liquid state at room temperature. For example, petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG and fuel oils. Now the last one is the gaseous fuel. These are the fuels that exist in the gaseous state at room temperature. For example, biogas, coal gas, petroleum gas and natural gases. Now here one word is there, that is the calorific value of that fuel. Now what is a calorific value? Calorific value is basically the amount of heat energy released when 1 gram of a fuel is completely burnt. That means what? For example, we are burning 1 gram of any fuel. The amount of heat that is evolving out is termed as the calorific value of that fuel. The heat release is measured in kilojoule. The unit for the calorific value is kilojoule per gram. If the calorific value of a fuel is high, then it is an efficient fuel, which means it releases more energy. A table is given in your book and you have to just go through it. Now the next topic is characteristics of a good fuel. There are basically 8 characteristic features of a good fuel. The first one should have a low ignition temperature. That means well above the room temperature. The second one, high calorific value. Third one has a moderate rate of combustion. Next, safe to handle, store and transport. After that, does not cause pollution. This is most important one for the environment. The next one is leaves behind little or no residue after being burned. The last one is easily available and is cheap. Now commonly used fuels are LPG and methane are widely used as domestic fuels. They do not lead to any pollution. The next one, diesel and petrol are widely used in automobiles, but their availability is very less and they also lead to atmospheric pollution. Now one more topic is there discussed in your book is hydrogen as a fuel. As you all know that if the fuel is having the highest calorific value, so it will be considered as a good fuel. But hydrogen is not considered as a good fuel. That too it is having the highest calorific value because it is highly inflammable, difficult to handle, transport and store. So it is used as a rocket fuel. Coming to the last topic of today, that is the fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are made up of plant and animal matter. When plants and animals die, their bodies decompose and were buried under the layers of the earth. Millions of years later, we have the three forms of fossil fuels, that is oil, natural gases and coal. These are also referred to as natural resources as they are obtained from the nature. If you have any query regarding any topic, you may ask. Thank you and have a good day ahead.